Now before we wrap up, let's talk about two last things I want to cover. First of all, let's close my inspector there. Let's talk about Instant Alpha and then adding a Google widget to this website, a Google Map widget I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a photo right down here. Let's drag this down and you can see that the alignment grid appears there. We'll leave that right there. And drag this one down as well. I'm just going to drag this image over. Now you notice I'm not dragging this one into a placeholder like we did the previous one. So first of all, it kind of works a little differently because this one isn't, it doesn't have the reflection automatically thrown in. But iWeb still lets us do what we want with it. We can drag it around and resize it just like I did. I'm going to choose Instant Alpha right here and click on this image. I'm not quite sure how this image is going to work with that because it's pretty complex. But I just start dragging this ball around. I should say this circle. And then I'm going to click and we kind of see what it did. It reflected a little too much. At the same time it kept the shadows, which is what I expected. But it got rid of that background and it kind of gives us a very interesting effect here. So I can make that larger. Now we have really a very graphic look that you might see. So that's very interesting. I can click on it as well. Let's click on Format here and choose Mask if I want, and I can mask our image up. So we can crop that in tighter. Okay, so that gives us a sense of what Instant Alpha can do. I don't know if that was the best example I could have chosen. I think I'm going to look around and see if I can't find a different image that might show how the background can be removed without, well, with a better effect, because Instant Alpha can work really well. It can give you an unusual effect. This effect I like, but other people might not. It might not be what you're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this image. And while we're here, let's talk about masking with a shape real quick before we get into the Google Map. And I'm going to grab a picture of Bob's grandson, Micah, and drag it over here. And this is when Micah was pretty young. Actually, this is fairly recent. I take that back. This is probably within the last year. So I click on the image so we have the handles visible. I go to Format, and I can choose Mask with Shape. And let's say I didn't want the square image. I can just do rounded rectangle. And then I can grab my mask size right here and move it around. So you can see how different that looks than it did. And I'm going to do Command Z for undo. There we go. Click on it again. We can choose a different shape. Say a quote bubble. Move that up a little bit. So that's a lot of fun, and we can even grab this and move our quote bubble around. So like he's coming from somebody else talking. So we have a lot of flexibility there, and we could even click on the inspector. Drop a shadow in there. So, goodness sakes, not that color. So again, that's the flexibility that we have with iWeb. It doesn't let us draw our own shape. I'm going to show you how to do that later in the tutorial, not today, but in a different tutorial, where we can actually make whatever shape we want, freehand it. But this gives us a lot to play with. So now we're going to take a look at Google Maps, and you can see I've moved some elements around, like I moved Micah up here in the top corner, so we have room for a map right here. And we'll be publishing this up on the internet, so in fact you'll see me replace a lot of this information off screen so that I don't take up your time with it. But let's just grab, we'll scroll down here so it's visible, grab our Google Map widget, and we just drag it right over. You can see it pops up like that, and it shows us one infinite loop over in Cupertino, Apple's hometown. And I'm going to change this and just say San Francisco, since I believe that's where that particular photo was taken. And you can see here that it has controls that we can, it gives us the option of showing our zoom controls, a search bar if we want to let them search for something, and an address bubble. So I'm going to click on Apply. I'm going to exit out here. And it took us right to Market and Van Ness, which is a good spot. And they can click and get directions to and from here. Also click on the satellite view. It's going to take a moment to come up. My connection seems to be slow today. Or do a hybrid view. I'm going to X out of that. And I can click and go right here and move that around, so I can move this around anywhere I want on the page. And look at that, it also lets me drag this around. So if I grab it on the corners, it will let me move it around the page anywhere I'd like. Well, within reason. It's not going to let me go too far off here. So that's Google Maps and how we can add that to our iWeb website. And again, I think I'm going to do a little organization off screen so we can liven this page up a bit more, since it's a little straight. But you can see how flexible iWeb is and how easy it is to throw your information on the net. I'm James with Understand Your Mac, and I wish you a great day.